This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
If we are to have faith in justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free!
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth!
Hello, everybody. It's time for more Law Lite, brought to you by Foreman, Watson, Holtry, FWHlegal.com. It's a beautiful day outside here at the high-rise white brick edifice at 530 Frederica Street, situated with my man PJ up in the library studio, coming at you loud.
Hello.
And very clear.
Yes.
PJ, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. October is here.
Yeah, almost.
When this comes out, of course.
Right, when this
October
comes out,
1st.
October uno.
Yes.
Octobre uno.
So here's what I'm excited about.
Dos, tres, cuatro.
5, 6, 7,
Siete,
8,
ocho,
9,
nueve,
10. That's the only thing I remember from taking is Hispanic. I can't even think of what it's called. Anyways, so Amy helped me have a revelation.
A revelation.
And that is now that I am single, because I was being with Trina initially, and her being a Jehovah's Witness, I could never celebrate holidays, at least not at the house.
Right.
But now that she's not there, I can do things like pumpkin carving and put pumpkins on my porch, and I'm super excited about that.
Hey, well, good for you. Yeah. I was taking the dogs for a walk last night, and one of my neighbors has what I would say one of the most extraordinary displays of jack-o'-lanterns. Now, they haven't already carved the pumpkins. These are ceramic pumpkins, but they're not just cut out eye. I mean, they are exquisite in the decor of them. And he has like 10 or 11 and 12 of them, and he has them on these like bookcases, outside.
Yeah.
At night, it really, really looks good.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
really looks good. I'll take a picture of it and send it to
Awesome.
you. Show it
Yeah,
to you.
there's a house that's on Parish Avenue over there by St. Anne. It's one street over if you're going towards into 54.
Right, gotcha.
Basically. Anyway, but at night they have all their lights off, but the house, they have like these colored lights, and then they have like ghosts and things in the it's really elaborately done.
Wow.
And it is so cool looking. And when I saw the house, I saw it the other night when I was passing by, and I thought, I would really get along with the people in that house. I was so impressed. I considered just randomly knocking on the door and going, hey, here's a copy of one of my movies.
Yeah.
Just because I figured they
You're
probably
a kindred
enjoy
spirit
that.
with
Right.
them, right. Yeah, gotcha. Well, we've got a couple of things in store today. For those that listened to the last episode, we did a potluck type mystery bowl, and I put together a bowl of topics. My wife says I say that word wrong. Bowl. Yeah, I say bowl.
Yeah.
A bowl of topics.
Bowl.
Yeah, BOWL of topics, and you chose from them, and they ranged from everything about events that were happening to you in your life, all the way through to current events, to stories that were in the news, kind of pop culture type stuff. And so what we're doing today is we are going to reverse the table and allow you to put together a bowl,
Yes.
BOWL, of treats.
It's been reversed.
And I will be selecting from that and discussing it. And so we will jump into that here in a moment. But I was going to ask you a couple of questions before, kind of following up on some of the topics that you had. Number one, any more issues with your son? Have you had any issues with the school bus?
No, and they also have not called.
Oh, well,
but I'm not surprised about that.
Well, maybe you have their attention, and she's going to stop by every day anyway.
I did see his bus driver this morning. We had kind of a Mexican standoff moment where we were just kind of looking at each other, and I wanted to wave, but at the same time, I was like, not 2 weeks ago, I was on the phone with her supervisor calling her a liar.
Right.
So
a little too early for the wave.
Yeah, we're not really friends, I would say. I don't think we're enemies.
Yeah, you're in that neutral zone with her.
Yeah,
right.
But when she looked at me, it wasn't like, "Hey, good morning." It was just kind of a stare.
Right.
It was probably like that guy.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to keep us posted on how that develops.
Oh, I will.
Second thing is, if you watched any more of her, oh, sorry, you'll have to edit that bump out. Have you picked up on any more of the news on the Gabby Petito case?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't really. I know the thing with the Natural Bridge turned out to be some other guy that had warrants for his arrest. I know that. I did see that news story. There's another story, I guess, that's going around where I guess maybe it's like a family that's disappeared or something.
Well, I know that they found more remains of another person close to where Gabby Petito's remains were found.
Right.
Or her body was found. But there is, with regards to Gabby Petito, Laudry, I don't know how to say
That's what I saw.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
His family is trying to, they're kind of playing it funny, like, well, we don't know where he is. We may know where he is. We don't know where he is.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I saw then. But I read something in passing. And
you know that bounty hunter guy with the long...
Yes,
okay.
Dog.
Dog is on the case.
Oh, great.
It's just, like I said, it's like, to me, it's made for TV type deal. But
yeah.
Dog is saying he's got him tracked somewhere in North Carolina. However, there's been pictures that people think he maybe have escaped in Mexico, which means he would have had to make a 600-mile trip across the Gulf of Mexico from where he was last thought to be in Florida to where he has been, quote, spotted in Mexico. So who knows where the guy's going to show up.
Right.
Or if he does show up, he may end up being dead, but...
I don't know. And this is not me trashing Mexico, because I have always wanted to go to Mexico because they got a lot of, like, culture with all the, the ancient civilizations and things that, plus it being so close to South America, and I'm sure there's a crossover there, but with all the cartel stuff going on.
Right.
And was it MS-18 or whatever the name of that gang is?
Yeah.
Even if I was a bad guy,
you wouldn't want to go there.
I don't even know if I would want to go there.
Well, you could
because
blend
it just
in if you're really bad.
Maybe, I don't know though. I mean, like, just like if you're a serial killer, well, let's just go with the guy. Like, he's all over the news right now for being a suspect in murdering this girl.
Right.
I mean, if he shows up in Mexico and the cartel is standing there, I mean, are they really going to care that he's a murder suspect? They're going to be like, oh, hey, yeah, come on, let's hang out.
No, I don't know.
I figured they'll just...
I just think the guy, his time's... he'll eventually either, find him dead or...
Right.
It will get him.
Or the cartel will say, look, we have him, and we'll let you have him back. But you got to let us bring some cocaine into the country.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm going to keep reading.
I think that's how that works.
I think that's all I wanted to kind of circle back on and touch from last week.
Yeah.
There has not been any movement to get rid of the executive office. I asked you which you would get rid of, and you said the executive branch. Haven't read anything about that, so I think we're safe.
Cool.
I went back and listened to a whole bunch of our podcasts. I was on a trip this past Sunday where I was on the road for about 6 hours. So I went back and listened to a bunch of those. And one of the things that was most notable was the difference in my voice since you put these headphones on my head. It's like been a lot different, but man, we have just, do you ever go back and listen to old episodes?
I do.
Yeah.
And I think what I take away from it 9 times out of 10 is I go, I do not remember us talking about that.
A lot of our conversations that we've had and podcast, the substance of our podcast and discussions, I'm like, did we talk about that?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, man, PJ is so wise, the things that he says.
Something tells me that when it's all said and done and we get to our final episode, whenever that is, I don't think I'll ever go back and listen to these
and say,
I was
wise.
How wise was I?
Well, I think you do a great job.
No, thank you.
All right. Through the bowl. Mix them up.
Let me mix it up here.
This is the... Oh, you dropped one. One's in your lap.
Did I?
On the floor. Okay. All right.
There you go.
Handed it to me. We're going to go right there first.
And these are of varied substance.
And they are on the high quality legal Post-it notes to where we cannot see.
That's right. It's the best use of company product.
All right. Well, we start right off with an easy one. Best sandwich.
Ooh,
Best sandwich. Now, I got to clarify.
Okay.
Do you mean the best kind of sandwich or the best sandwich place or in town?
I would say just best sandwich, not like this is the best sandwich I've ever eaten. To you personally, what is your best sandwich?
Yeah, I'm not big on like the Philly beef type sandwiches or the hoagie type sandwiches with the Italian sauce on them and stuff. I'm more of a club sandwich guy, and I like a good, what I would call a good stacked club sandwich.
Oh yeah,
very like 3 or 4 different kinds of meat, couple different kinds of cheese, tomato, and then the bread in the middle. You know, a good piece of toast in the middle. A good stacked, like I call them the King Club sandwich.
Right.
That would probably be my favorite sandwich.
Okay. Well, you know what? You and I share that in common.
Really?
Yeah. Have you had Cheddar's Club?
No.
Oh, man.
Okay, so I'll get that one, but let me recommend one. McAllister's.
I've been there, but I haven't eaten
club
there.
sandwich is very, very good.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out.
So I'll try Cheddar's. You try.
I think part of the reason why I like it so much is they butter their toast. So it's a buttery toast club. And
buttery toast.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong when you're slathering something in butter. That's about as American as it gets there.
So I'd say a club sandwich. I don't include burgers in sandwiches because that's a whole different category.
Yeah,
Would you
hot
agree
dogs.
with me? Like a burger, like when you say, well, how do you like your burger? That's a whole different
Well, it's got
animal.
a different name even.
Right, a
So,
burger.
yeah.
Not a sandwich. Okay.
Yep.
Well, then we're good. Are we good?
Yeah, we're
Here,
good.
you need to mix them up, though.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Without dropping them.
I hope they're all that easy.
I don't know. They may be. I guess we'll find out here in a second.
Best sandwich. All right. Number 2. Oh, this one's a little sticky. Upside down.
Yep.
The Loch Ness Monster. Let's talk about it.
That's right.
I guess the question is, was it ever really a thing?
What do you think? What are your thoughts on the Loch Ness Monster?
I think, in general, let me start in general, that we have sea monsters and animals or fish living in big bodies of water that we have never seen. Okay.
I agree with that.
We have explored 5% of the ocean bottom. I was reading an article actually it's 2 days ago. Yeah. I was reading an article Tuesday about an experiment out in the Gulf of Mexico, in some of the deepest portions of the Gulf of Mexico, where they sent down 3 gigantic, freshly dead crocodiles, and they put them down all the way to the bottom, and they had like cables with weights to take them to the bottom. And then they went back like 4 days later to check on those. And one of them had been torn apart by and they had video cameras, I guess, down there. And one of them had been torn apart by a bunch of game feeding fish, like, these little black identified fish that just tore it apart. So there was, the carcass was still, the skeleton was still there. The other one, and they didn't drop these like right next to each other. The other one, where it was dropped, was basically parasites had basically like worms and different things at the bottom. So, and had actually begun to get into the skeleton. Okay, within 4 days.
Oh wow!
All right. The other one, PJ, they saw a dark shadow, and it was gone, including the weights.
It ate whatever it was
just
ate the
gobbled
weights
it.
and the whole
Just
thing.
gobbled it up.
See?
Now, what I'm saying there is that's a big dude.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Right.
It could be a shark, a whale, a squid, something big. Got that one.
Right.
Right? Okay, so with that being my premise, I would say I'm gonna admit to a lack of knowledge in the, I guess, the history behind the story of the Loch Ness Monster.
Right.
Loch Ness, isn't that in England?
It's in Scotland.
Scotland. Okay. So, and there's a big body of water there, and I've seen these things that look kind of like the back of a
Like
dinosaur
Yeah.
or some type. It's kind of got a hump in it with a tail.
Right.
I've seen those pictures, foggy morning, you know. I don't know much about where the legend originated on, and you know, was it on fishermen that had seen this mighty animal that was out or something like that? I mean, I'm kind of maybe putting bits and pieces of Megalodon and stuff like that together.
I mean, you're not wrong, because they have stories about fishermen in the loch that, I mean, they go back to like the 1500s, where they claim to have seen something that looked like it, you know, a serpent, or it had like a big snake head. Sometimes they say they see things that they say looks like it has the head of a horse. They actually call it a water horse, is like another term for the Loch Ness Monster. Modern scientists say that that the closest thing to something like that would have been the plesiosaur, which was a water-based dinosaur, and it kind of looked like a brontosaurus, but it had like the long neck and the head that was serpentine like, and then it had big flippers, but it could still come up on land.
Okay. Well, that sounds
And at
doable.
one time the loch was connected to the ocean, and they're saying that it is possible that maybe something had come into the lake, because it's a huge body of water, had come into the loch, and then it got cut off from the ocean and stayed there. Thing is, though, is if it can get on land, why wouldn't it just crawl out and go back over to the ocean?
Right.
I would assume. But
well, let me ask you this. I mean, you may not know, but what's the most recent quote spotting?
I mean, that I don't know specifically, but like if you can Google like Loch Ness Monster sightings. I mean, there's monsters in just about every major lake. Lake Ontario, Lake Champlain has a monster supposedly. I mean, now here's the thing. I believe that like you said, there was a time where I said, yes, there's a Loch Ness Monster. But then, you know, you grow and you get more knowledgeable about things.
You turn 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 9.
Sometimes 11. And you really start to kind of delve, and maybe not everybody delves into the science of it, but like I kind of kept up with those things, and it was determined that in order for like a plesiosaur to survive in that, or any kind of large aquatic animal to survive in the Loch Ness, it would require it to have a major food source in order for it and its, you know, offspring and stuff to survive. And they're saying that there's not in the Loch Ness.
Well, now that's interesting you said that, because I've had this conversation just recently, and I think that's validated. I think what you just said, I think that's very important, because we as you know, just moved to a new house, and we have about a 2-acre pond lake behind our house. Okay.
Right.
And there's like 4 or 5 houses that back up to it. And one of the things that I saw early upon moving there was some gigantic snapping turtles, like really big ones.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about, the size of a bowl full.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like
the ones with the big scary shells that have the spikes on it and everything.
The heads on these things are as big as my fist.
Yeah.
Okay. And I started thinking about that. I was like, okay, in this pond lake, there are some small fish, and there are probably a few other reptiles, snakes.
Right.
There's bugs flying around. There is some vegetation around. So it's kept very clean, right? But still, there's some vegetation around. So I'm like, okay, these things are only going to get to a certain size, and then the food source is going to limit that, right? But then I started thinking that, but nothing is. What is hunting the snapping turtle in our lake? The only thing I could think of is like you have muskrats or something like that that get the eggs. Right. But nothing in my lake that I know of, because we don't have crocodiles or alligators. Nothing in our lake is going to be taking on the snapping turtle. It's the king of the lake, right? Right. So I was like, eventually their size they're not going to eat each other. So eventually their size is going to be limited, right? I mean, they can only get so big because the food source is there. Then I found out that one of my neighbors, every evening at around 5 o'clock, goes out to the lake and feeds these snapping turtles. And that's why there's very few snapping turtles on my end of the lake. Okay? Right. They're all down on the other end. And so as long as the neighbor who has this thing for feeding snapping turtles continues, they're going to keep getting bigger because the food source is there. Right.
What's he feeding them? Like guinea pigs or?
No, big, like those things that you feed dogs, like they chew on for a long time, like dog food type things.
They eat dog food?
Oh yeah, they'll eat that. I mean,
they give them begging strips.
All kind. That's what it is. It's those strips, those like pork rind strips.
Right, things. They're actually not bad.
Yeah, they go out there and eat those things. That's what they feed them. And they're going to we're going to have one that's going to be so big the shell is going to be up, like the water won't. That's how big they're going to get.
And then you'll see it and you'll be like, I have a lake monster.
Lake monster. I got the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a monster in the loch, but I think there are monsters in the ocean.
Oh, there's no question.
And I use the term monster loosely because, like what you said about the alligator or the crocodile, I've heard stories where fishermen have been out there and they've they're like got the big nets and they're pulling stuff out and they've caught like the heads of 2,000-pound great white sharks and pulled it up onto their boat, and something had like bitten it in half. Like the whole shark had been bitten in half in one bite. So there are things out there that are big enough to eat 2,000-pound sharks in one bite.
For all you people that are heading to the Gulf Coast on fall break, just remember that image.
Right, yeah. That's why I do not swim. That's one of the reasons why I don't like the ocean.
That's an excellent topic. I liked that one. Hopefully we can mixing them up. All right. This is number 3.
Yep.
Number 3. All right. I'm going to go right here. Okay.
All right. Some ASMR for some people.
I like the Loch Ness Monster topic. That was good. Oh, man, this one's a long one. R. Kelly, oh gosh, was convicted of racketeering and sex trafficking in a federal trial. Is his music career over? Well, the good thing for R. Kelly was that he had a lot of good music before this surfaced, and the way that musicians are paid now is on the download and the listens digitally. So no matter what happens to him, he'll still get paid for that music.
That's true. You know? But I'm assuming a lot of radio stations will probably stop.
Well, which will only drive the digital sales up.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay, now here's the thing. R. Kelly's situation is it's a serious one, because in some worlds, in worlds that I'm not a part of, and actually think that it's scary to our society, in some worlds that validates some people, right? I mean, it's like in some genres of music, it's like the more trouble you're in with the law, the more cantankerous of a person you are, that validates that you're a genuine outlaw.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You're a bad boy.
You're a bad boy.
Thing is, though, he's more like a pedophile.
He's a pedophile. And it's a fine line, right? Okay, so those that have ever heard R. Kelly music, now you can kind of get a little bit of a perspective on what he's singing, too.
Yeah.
I do. Okay, so the question on the table is whether or not it will is his music career over. I don't think he'll be doing any touring.
Because that's what is most important here.
Is. God. I don't think he'll be doing any touring. I don't think he'll be producing from a federal penitentiary. I think that his music career, as he once knew it, is over.
All right.
What do you think?
I think I agree. But equally, if Cosby can get out, I figure it's only a matter of time before R. Kelly sees the light of day.
The real question is he going to be on somebody's hit list? And I'm not talking about music hits.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, probably.
Yes,
well, and the
I
other
would
thing,
think
too,
so.
is I think it's universally known that pedophiles are not typically, it's frowned upon even by other criminals.
Right.
You know, by
You're
the
exactly
majority
right.
of other criminals.
Maybe
And-
even the cartel in Mexico.
Oh, I guarantee
it.
Well, then again, doesn't the cartel make
Maybe
a lot
they're
of money
part of
with
the trafficking.
sex trafficking?
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Anyway.
Man. All right.
Who needs a Loch Ness monster? There's real monsters.
There's like R. Kelly.
That's right.
The R. Kelly monster.
I hope nobody from the cartel, though, listens to this because we're
Well-
going to be on the hit list.
Do we have downloads from Mexico?
That's a good question. I'll have to look
that up.
And then we'll have to, I'm
Send
sure some of,
somebody-
hey,
I think
cartel,
I
I'm sure
listened.
some of you are good people.
I think I listened to the podcast while I was in Mexico last time. So
Well, then we should.
we should have a download.
We assume.
We assume. Okay, you've mixed it up.
Yep.
We are on topic number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Numero 40. I think that's I'm
What'd you do?
speaking.
Glue these together.
Well, I put it on the sticky side.
Okay. Scoot the bowl back over. What? I gotta reread this. A 96-year-old Nazi war crime suspect went on the run ahead of her trial. Thoughts? Is this real?
It's from today.
Okay, so where did you read it? First of all, where did you get that headline from? Just off of some news source on
Yeah,
your
it
phone?
was. I think it was like the Post.
All right, so let me get this right. A war crime suspect, a female war crimes suspect. So a Nazi, a Nazi German.
Right.
Apparently did some horrible things, I guess, to prisoners or
Allegedly.
And we're just now getting her to trial. I mean, that's the first thing I'd ask is, wow, no such thing as a speedy trial.
Not for her anyway.
Okay, but she took off.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, okay, here's my thoughts, because that's what you asked for is my thoughts. How fast can a 96-year-old run, right?
Right.
And, okay, let's say we get her and sentence her to life.
That could be tomorrow.
Yeah, it could be tomorrow. Hell, if she's running, she could die on the run, right? Okay.
Now, if she makes it to Mexico, she's earned it.
Oh, she's earned it. The cartel will probably make her a hero.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure the cartel's like, a Nazi? Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Where is this? Do you know?
I didn't read that far into it. I saw it, and it caught my...
It's just a great headline.
The headline caught my attention.
Well, my thoughts are... good for her. This person must have some spunk.
Good for you, Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, come on. She's not. How harmful is she now? At this point, it's like this is like.
Well, and the other thing too is I don't know what her crimes were. I mean, it could be. Her crimes could have simply been passing out Nazi propaganda.
Who knows? Hey, the one question you should have asked is her Nazi career over?
Something tells me that ended
like
a
R.
long
Kelly's.
time ago.
Yeah, I think her career.
Now she makes tiki torches for the modern Nazi.
All right. Well, all I can say is that I would like to hear the follow up on how far away she was.
I'll look more into it.
She went missing, and less than a quarter of a mile away they find her because she's not moving. But
how lax was the security
to let a 96-year-old lady?
Let's be honest. Nazis are the bad guy, right? Like in movies, they're always the worst of the worst. Even in the Marvel universe,
No, that's right.
They
That's
have
right.
Hydra, which was an offshoot of the Nazis. And so, but they're essentially Nazis. So even 9 times out of 10, if you have even look at the Empire in the Star Wars, they're pretty much modeled after the Nazis.
Right.
So it's like the Nazis have become the bad guy in entertainment. So it's like if you have a Nazi in your grasp, and she's about to go to trial. Now, granted, she's 96, so they probably had like. They probably had Nighthawk security watching her.
Yeah, right?
Because they're like, she's 96.
What's she going to do?
Now, this is easy for me to say because I am not Jewish nor a victim of any kind of Nazi war crimes.
Right.
But I say she's 96. If she can escape, I know she's a Nazi, just let her go.
Yeah, just...
Because her heart's probably going to give out anyways, trying to get over a fence. So
how'd she get past the dogs?
I don't think
Where were they keeping her?
I don't. They were keeping her in just somebody's spare bedroom apparently.
Yeah,
and she just fell out the window.
Oh gosh! All right, we got to make it through 2 more before we do the rapid round.
Oh, we got time. All right. There's really not much to. There's not a whole lot here to mix up. Yeah.
All right, here we go. I can tell, even though these are high quality Post-it notes, I can see that this next one is long.
Do you like my 3rd grade penmanship?
Oh, actually, it's pretty good.
I was worried that you wouldn't be able to read my handwriting.
All right, this is a more serious topic. Why does it seem like so many people are opposed to immigration when our entire country is built from families who are immigrants?
Yeah.
Well, there is a mentality. I will liken. I'm going to shrink the scale on this. Okay.
Okay.
Like, as soon as I became a lawyer, and I saw how many other lawyers were coming into the bar, that's all like competition, right? And so as soon as I made it, I was like the biggest proponent of make it harder to be a lawyer, make the tests harder, make the education longer, whatever it takes, right? Now that I'm in. And I guess there is a, number one, remember the story that I told you about the guy who had, we talked about, who had polio and was in the iron lung.
Right.
And remember his thing about, he came to the end of the story in his interview. He says, I think the reason it's so hard for Americans to understand the importance of vaccination is because they haven't lived through a time where they saw the difference of a vaccination.
Right.
It's just become an everyday thing. And okay, we have a safe society. Vaccinations, you get them when you're young, blah, blah, blah. But we've never been in that situation where you needed to get a vaccination to stop a critical, we've not had that in most of our lifetimes.
Right.
And he said, and that's why we've lost touch with it. I think the same is true here. Okay. I use the same illustration. I think that because we have had generation after generation here in America where we are that far removed from when whoever in our family came over first,
right.
That we forget that in our line there was once an immigrant. Okay. I also think that one of the big things is that at that time, when you came over as an immigrant, you did not make it if you didn't work. You had to find something to do. You worked in the sweatshops. You worked in the textile industries. You worked in the fields. You did whatever
on the railroad
to get enough money to live. And then it was those that were entrepreneurs that would take what little they had and then buy something that would start to generate money outside of their labor, and that's capitalism, right?
Right.
So for many years, the immigrants came here and they basically pulled their own. At some point, because of a welfare system, a system where if you are below a certain level, then you get certain benefits, where it became these immigrants could come here, claim that they couldn't earn money, and now they were basically the responsibility of the government, and what was funding that was the work of taxpayers.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I think that there's two reasons that we are hard on immigrants. Number one is they come over and it taxes our healthcare system. It taxes, when I say taxes, it burdens. I mean, we have to take, you're not going to sit here and
Right.
just humanitarian. You're not going to watch them die of some disease. You're going to treat it, and then there's no way to pay for that, right? And so we have all of the revenue for that, and then they run stoplights and they drive illegally, and now they're causing wrecks and things, and those are uncompensated. Where does that loss get paid? Sent to? Basically, the taxpayers end up paying for all that, and so there becomes a bad taste in your mouth when you are working so hard and paying increasing taxes, and a lot of that is to pay for the expenses generated by people that are not coming and contributing. So I think I would call it the contribution factor. Right. When the early immigrants, our ancestors came, they immediately went to work to provide for their family in an industrial society, and pulled their own, carried their weight. Went through the proper cycles of becoming U.S. citizens, took the citizenship test, everything you had to take. It's not that anymore. And I think that's why we have such an opposition to immigration now.
Right. Well, it's interesting. So, I mean, in some way we are far removed from that time period. But what I also find interesting is that time period was just over 100 years ago. And that's in the grand scheme of things, that's really not that.
You're right.
Because 4 generations ago in my own family, my great-grandfather, who I knew until I was about 12, he came over here. I mean, it's the same story that you see in like Once Upon a Time in America. These types of programs or historical documentaries and things. Like, he came over here with his mom and dad on a boat into New York Harbor, not knowing what they were going to do and all that. And like you said, they went to work, and then eventually here I am, right? So 4 generations later, but I was born here, and by then, I mean, we're already far. I'm far removed from the major industrial age and all that stuff. Like, I grew up with, you still had 1 or 2 televisions in your house and stuff like that. So, but still, it's like, even then, my great grandfather was one of the ones who came over in the late 1800s. And I met him and I knew him. So even though, and what I find interesting too is that a lot of the people that really seem to be in opposition of immigration are people that are older than me, and so I'm assuming in a twist of irony, all that hard work that these immigrants put into building our country is essentially the undoing of immigration, because I'm going to guess that when like my great grandfather came over here with his parents and his brothers and sisters, while there was, I'm sure there was some kind of burden on American society because it was established at that point. It was probably nowhere near the financial burden that we see today. And, plus they went to work and created new businesses and helped build what we have up to now, right? But the thing is like, at what point did that change where suddenly it came from, send us your tired, cold, hungry, huddled masses, and now, in that span of 100 years, is that when it changed so much, where our population just exploded, and now it's like, not that I won't say we're at capacity, because there is a lot of undeveloped land, right? But at the same time, it's like a lot of that's right. A lot of that's like deep forest and the desert. Nobody wants to live in the desert. So, well, I don't want to live in the deserts.
Right. I think a lot of it is the time that in 100, like you said, the more every 20 to 25 years, you have a new generation of people born. Now, I'm not talking about 100-year generation. I'm talking about, like this past Sunday I was there, and my child, me, my dad. There's 3 generations right there. You see,
Right.
and so when these generations pass and we birth our own, those every time we do that, they're further removed from that ancestor that came here, and so they are U.S. citizens born, and you lose touch with the fact that that's where it began.
Right.
And what you see is people who are coming to take advantage and to not contribute and to live off of our hard work, and I think that's where the resistance is to immigration.
Yeah. Now, do you think that the amount of people and I really don't have an opinion on this because I don't know any like illegal immigrants, right? So so for me, I don't know anybody who has come here from another country and not contributing. And I'm sure they're out there. And I may have met someone like that, but I don't actively have like a friendship with someone who well, no, I take that back. I know some people who need to get their ass out there and work.
Right.
and they're not immigrants. They were born here.
Right.
Right.
That's just as bad a problem.
Let me say this. I know some lazy people. Mm-hmm. I do know some lazy people, but I don't know any lazy immigrants.
Yeah.
So I guess I just kind of answered my own question.
Running.
So I was getting ready to say, like, how many immigrants do you think are here that don't actually contribute versus people who were born here who don't contribute? Because I'll be honest, I know more people that were born here and don't do anything and don't give to society. I know more of those people than people who came here and don't contribute.
Again, a lot of that is because of where you live in your situation.
That's true.
Me too. And my personal feeling of people who have been born into this country, the most amazing country in civilization, in my opinion.
Right.
And don't want to contribute their part to making it a better country. My feeling for them is probably stronger than it is to immigrants that are coming in. Okay.
Right.
In the end, they're all people. And in my opinion, they deserve to be loved. But it's harder. It's harder to love those who have been born, who have all of everything, all of this at their fingertips, and yet they expect someone else to do it for them. That I have a very bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, and I know those people.
Yeah.
You see those people at Walmart where you're like, you really don't need to be in that scooter.
Especially when they're backing it up. It goes,
yeah,
beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't ride the scooter for a reason. You know you don't need the scooter.
Yeah, we've all had those thoughts. All right, give me one more, and then we'll do rapid round.
There you go. I hope scooter riders are not part of our demographic because we just lost a few.
We may have a few clients that justifiably need a scooter.
Oh, no, I'm not saying there's people who don't need the scooter. I mean, there's people who legitimately should be riding those scooters. But the problem is you have those people who ride them and take it away from the ones who do need it. Yeah. Just because they're fun.
When I was recovering from my knee surgery, I rode one and my daughters were embarrassed. Dad, don't ride that. All right. The Taliban issued a no-shave order in southern Afghan province. Thoughts? Really?
Yeah.
Nobody can shave?
In this, no men. Well, no men.
Okay.
I don't know if they make women shave. Yes. Well, whenever we were over there and started changing things, we things were not. I mean,
like all the pictures of the Taliban, I guess. See, they're stereotyping the beard.
You see the big beard and everything. Right. Yeah, but I mean, they were allowed to shave if they wanted to, but now, because I think it's a. And I could be wrong about this, but I believe it has something to do, or at least that what their claim is, it's a religious thing.
Absolutely.
But when you have to outlaw shaving, it goes beyond just religion, because then you're forcing everybody to adhere to something, even if they don't want to. And the other thing, there was another article I came across just yesterday where the Taliban banned women teachers. So they took all the teachers that were female out of schools and replaced them with men.
Well, now I'm a little bit, me and the Taliban probably don't have the same worldview.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
I'm the same.
So my thoughts about removing women from society as contributors and only putting men in, I think, is absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the strongest people I know and most influential in my life have been women, and that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that, it's silly if you're legislating or legislating the ability to shave or not. I'd hate to live in that legalistic society.
Yeah.
But I'm not really offended by it. If they don't want to shave, they're stupid enough to have facial hair and all that. And, I mean, here I am. I got facial hair, but not like a beard. In America, some women think beards are sexy. Yeah,
I don't know any of them.
Yeah, I can tell.
Well, I can't grow facial hair. So we know in past episodes I tried.
This wouldn't affect you that much, would it?
Oh, I would. They would probably have already shot me in the street.
Like, you're shaving. No,
I would already. I would be in the Taliban prison right now
with a 96-year-old Nazi.
Oh, God. And one cartel member who's like, I don't appreciate some of the things you said about us in your podcast.
All right, now. What are we looking like?
45.
Okay, here we go.
Got to do the lightning round. Are we doing the lightning round?
Lightning round.
Well, here, I got to read you the questions.
You read
right?
it to me.
All right, lightning round.
I have 10 seconds to answer, right?
All right? So we got 4, yep.
Right, here we go. Ding, 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 ding. 1.
And some of these might be thoughts. So
that's okay.
Okay, so first one. Ooh, something you like but are embarrassed to admit.
Something I like but I'm embarrassed to admit?
Yes.
Lotion.
What? Why are you embarrassed?
I'm embarrassed. I lotion up, man. I it's like, some guys may think that's just not.
Like when you wake up in the morning, you lotion
after I get
up?
out of the shower, man, I put
Like
lotion
you
all over.
exfoliate
I just
and
put
all that?
lotion all over me. Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of glad that you didn't get that question while we were having the non-lightning round because
you would expand upon
it. I had something I was going to throw out there in case you were worried.
What were you going to throw out there?
I'm not going to say it now because it's an embarrassing thing. It's way worse than lotion.
Oh, okay.
So we'll save that for another podcast. Now I'm going to make.
Go ahead.
We'll end on a cliffhanger.
Number 2.
Bigfoot, real or no?
Nope.
You don't think Bigfoot's real?
No.
Why?
I just don't believe in him.
You believe in big sea monsters, but you don't think that Bigfoot's...
No, I don't think Bigfoot's real.
Okay. I do.
Bart Darrell does.
We're not going to... No, we're not talking about that. What is the closest thing to real magic?
Real magic?
Mm-hmm. Don't say love.
Oh, gosh. Pass. I don't know. Real magic. I think okay, I'll say this. I believe that miracles do happen from above, and I think that is real magic. So the supernatural healing and miracles still happen in this world, and I believe it comes from God. So that would be my answer.
All right. This is really this should be more than a lightning round, but government shutdowns, WTF.
Right? It all stems from debt, all stems from silliness. Yes, I agree with your sentiments, WTF.
I mean, here's a real quick, let me ask you this real fast. Government shutdowns, it's always looming. They're always like, oh, the government's going to do you think our government would ever well, it has shut down before, I guess. But I mean, does it ever really shut down? I mean, how do you have a country where the government shuts down? Like, how does that even make sense?
Well, I just imagine what effect it's going to have on COVID if we have a government shutdown.
Right.
I mean, the CDC and everything behind the CDC and the research and all that we have, all those people just don't show up to work. And so all of a sudden we stop advancing anything on the FDA. Right. Okay, so boom, gone. All right, so we're just going to be out here fighting this disease without any direction.
Well, that goes for anything though, cancer.
Right.
I mean, is there any other country in the world where their government occasionally has a looming government shutdown? I mean, does Putin ever close his doors?
No, but he's a lot stricter on immigrants.
That's true. He's a lot stricter on everything, apparently.
Oh man!
But yeah, I just don't understand.
Do you think it'll happen? That's the
do I think I mean, it's happened before.
Yeah, but
so
do you think it will this time? I mean, the big issue is the debt ceiling. So basically, there's going to be this walkout of the federal government if we don't. The question is do we increase the debt ceiling so we don't default on our debt?
Right. Well, don't we have to do that? I mean, what else can we do?
Well, you can default on the debt, and then the markets crash.
Why can't the government just look? I mean, admittedly, I've done Chapter 13 before. Mm-hmm. So why doesn't the government just do that?
Go bankrupt?
Just go bankrupt.
And then then we owe our souls to every other country in the world.
Well, maybe.
That's not a good thing.
No, I guess that's not a good thing. Well, I mean, look, we're still going to buy stuff from them, so
yeah, right.
Just start fresh.
Sell
and
your
then
souls.
Obviously, I don't know how things work.
This has been an intriguing law light. It's gone from everywhere from R. Kelly to the Loch Ness Monster to government shutdowns, and that is why we love the Mystery Bowl. And it's been a couple good weeks and a lot of interesting topics and discussions. So you all sit tight and never know what's coming next week on the old podcast. And until then, this has been Law Light, brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, FWHlegal.com. Check us out on all platforms, social media. And as always, if you need good quality legal representation, give us a call. Thank you.
This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery of a sham, of a mockery of a travesty of two mockeries of a sham.
If we are to have faith and justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free!
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth!